Hey guys, it's FABTECH 2025. I'm here with a good friend, Jason Ray, the founder of Paperless Parts. We're in the multi-press booth powered by Pacific. We're so thankful that they're letting us use their booth because trade shows are a madhouse. It's hard to find a good place to record.
It's an awesome setup here. You got prime real estate.
Yeah, it's perfect. So super excited about talking about Big BOMs.
Yeah.
Is that what we got today? You brought me a sticker?
I did. I brought you some stickers and I brought you a t-shirt and it says I love Big BOMs on it. So we'll just...
I thought it said Big Moms when you first told me about it, and I thought that's got to be something completely different.
So here's the challenge. Someone came by our booth and thought the same thing, and he's like, I love Big Moms. And I'm like, that's
no, BOMs, bills of materials.
So this is
bills
for you.
Of materials.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I will wear it with pride.
And the fun story behind that, this was a product release that we did almost 2 years ago now. And it was all about helping our customers manage larger bills of materials. Because what we were seeing in the industry is the simple flat parts, flat with a bend, it just wasn't making these shops scale.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, hey, we need to move higher up in the assemblies, not just a small sub-assembly, but a big sub-assembly. And of course, bottlenecks always happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the bottleneck? Well, how do I deal with a really large bill of materials?
Yeah.
And how do I figure out what I'm going to make and what I'm going to buy? So we set out to solve that problem. We launched early last year. Awesome feedback. And one of our customers said this.
I love Big BOMs.
Up on stage, I love Big BOMs. And everyone's like,
yeah, don't say that at an airport.
That's gonna, no. Yeah, it can be taken a lot of different ways, but it's been a fun for the show here.
So, we've done some stuff a few times, probably 3-4 times in the history of making chips and the history of paperless parts. And so we're so glad to have you back. But for those who haven't heard everything that we've talked about, let's take a full step back and really briefly explain kind of like what it is that you do specifically with Big BOMs, but more importantly, like what is the general problem that you solve with paperless parts?
Absolutely. I'll try to make this as concise as possible. And thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah.
Paperless Parts, we focus on solving the bottleneck that takes place in estimating and quoting. We find that process is risky. We find that it can be only a handful of people in the shop that the owner trusts to do it if he or she doesn't spend a lot of their time doing it on their own.
Yeah.
And so we said we need to put a software solution in place that makes this process less brittle, faster, less risky. And really, we traced innovation in America back to an inability to get really fast responses from the manufacturing industrial base. We said, well, look, we've got these designers who don't understand manufacturing anymore. And so they're designing things that can't be produced. Then it takes them a long time to get that feedback signal from the supply chain saying, wait a second, why did you design it this way?
Yeah.
And we said, if we can speed that up and we can make the supply chain more resilient, we're going to be in a position where we drive innovation in the country.
It's so funny. I just reposted something on LinkedIn that just totally resonated with me. And it was two angles. It was like a screenshot of CAD CAM, and it was two angles, and one was an inner radius and one was an outer radius. And it was like, why is this a radius? It should just be chamfered. Do you know what kind of tools and how many tool paths or whatever it would take to make that outer radius compared to just chamfering it really quick? And what I reposted was like, we really need to connect academia with industry.
Yes.
And people need to like make and program and run parts instead of just saying like, oh, well, this looks right or this looks the same way as the inner radius. So why wouldn't I just do it the same way?
Well, and the CAD systems, they're designed to give infinite degrees of freedom.
Yeah.
Like I can design almost anything now.
Yeah.
Yay. Look at additive manufacturing.
Can you or should you? It's
that is the question that everyone needs to be asking.
Because like sometimes you can't even make it, like you were saying. Like you design something you can't
it's just
make.
Not possible.
Other times you can do it, but it's going to be 10 times more expensive. Like, why'd you put a tolerance on that clearance hole? Why'd you?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And what we found is the contract manufacturers, the job shops in the country, they know it immediately when they see it.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, I see this and then, by the way, I'm surprised that it takes me longer.
Right.
They know it, and it's just, how do we make it easier for them to provide feedback in a secure way, in a way that educates their customers so that they can move from being just that outsourced vendor to being more of a partner.
Yeah.
And that word partner is really important to us. We view all of our customers as partners because we spend a lot of time with them and we want to see their businesses be successful. If they're not successful, we're out of business.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
We built Paperless Parts as a software solution to really go after solving this problem for really metal mechanical fabrication, machining, large assemblies. I love Big BOMs. So we've really focused on helping the market and smaller shops. Let's say, a 10 million in revenue shop. They're eyeing, how do I go to 20? Well, inevitably, you're going to have to quote bigger jobs, more part numbers, higher level assemblies, and you're going to have to win some LTAs. And we wanted to make that a much easier proposition and a much easier challenge to step into.
Yeah, no, it's so good.
Man, Nick, quoting is absolutely killing us right now.
Man, I know. I remember as a kid, I would come home. My dad would just have his head in his hands. He'd be looking over a stack of blueprints, and he would just be so stressed out about quoting. And then when I talk to manufacturing leaders today, it's still such a massive bottleneck for them. On Making Chips, we're always looking for ways to improve processes and make life better for manufacturing leaders. And that's where Paperless Parts comes in.
Yeah, now Paperless Parts is really good. I really like the logic for costing and pricing, customized to my shop, so it's tailor-made to get quotes out faster and easier. They streamline the entire process, taking the complexity out by managing every step of the process in a centralized location.
Yeah, and I know like CMMC and FedRAMP requirements can be super rigorous, but with Paperless Parts, those are all met. And then I like how Paperless Parts tools level up how shops communicate with their buyers. It empowers them to deliver an incredible customer experience.
That's right. So if you're ready to gain valuable time back, increase profitability, generate more revenue, and improve customer satisfaction, check out paperlessparts.com.
Yeah, that's paperlessparts.com. It's quoting made simple, profitable, and powerful. Bam. So the last time we talked, even now, like everything's about AI. It's just AI this, AI that. I saw some stat or it was more of a meme. It was like the only guy at the like startup convention who doesn't have an AI product, and he's sitting there by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, with what is unlocked and enabled by AI, it's no surprise that it's woven into just about every solution that you see. But there's like the theoretical, wouldn't it be great if, and then there's like, okay, it actually works and it can be trusted and it can be counted on consistently. And the output is something you can use with confidence. And so the last time we talked about, some of the AI stuff that you had going on, but you're here at FABTECH talking about some new stuff that you've just released. And why don't you share that with us?
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to. So when we last spoke, I think we're talking about the reality of AI because I want to make sure that this really impactful technology doesn't go through the significant hype cycle for manufacturers that it could go through.
Yeah.
Because I think when a product or a technology goes through a hype cycle, look at additive manufacturing.
Yeah.
There's just this massive inflated expectation of what it's going to do. And then you fall into this trough of disillusionment when all those projects don't work. And it sets the technology adoption back dramatically. I mean, you know this industry better than I do. People, if a project fails, they're like, I'm not touching it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to.
You know what it reminds me of, man? Like, I don't know if you're a football fan.
I am.
So I am a Bears fan.
Okay.
So like you already, now you're already feeling bad for me. And so the Bears get a lot of
I saw
number one
Monday.
overall picks or high draft picks. And you're like, oh my gosh, like the promise. So this is the next Mahomes or this is that or whatever. And then there's like one game that's not great or two games that aren't great. And then you're ready to be like, oh, he's a bust. And that's the hype cycle, right?
It's throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, I don't want this.
And I remember they were talking about additive, like, oh, we won't even see machine tools the same way in 5 years. And it was like
bigger
so
than
insane.
The machine tool market, and you're just going to be able to push a button. You don't even need a supply chain. And they try to make the story that we're going to solve so many problems with the technology. And I really do believe additive is a great example of what could happen with AI. So last we spoke, the discussion was really around, we want to make sure that this is practically deployed and deployed in a way that is safe and impactful, but not in a way that people are going out and trying to like, oh, I'm never going to have to program a part again. That's a recipe for failure.
Right.
And
or I could just take the number it puts out, me put it on my quote and send it out and have.
That's exactly
right. Don't
right.
even need to look at it, right?
It's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think what we've learned building paperless parts over the last decade, I think software is designed to enable humans to be more effective. I think that's the stance that we have taken. Software is not designed to replace people, but it's designed to make people more effective. And so I look at AI the exact same way. And it's not, I'm going to take the decision-making power away from a person. So one of the things that we say about AI at Paperless Parts, and we have AI in our product, because at the end of the day, it's a tool, and it's stupid to not use good tools and build good technology that's available. But we say AI makes recommendations, humans make decisions. And that is how we built our whole product offering around AI.
Yeah.
So it's surfacing recommendations for a human to quickly, I digest all the information that Paperless is providing me, and I make a good decision based on what I know about my facility, based on what I know about the materials market, based on what I know about how busy my shop is, all the things that people would love for AI to understand just out of the box. But the reality is it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. And I think that's just like such a remarkable approach and a noble approach to take when you're in this space, because you could just be like selling the ideal perfect dream that 50 years from now dream.
Yep.
And then like as soon as it doesn't work out, then that quarterback was a bust, right?
Well, and that's the thing. We want Paperless Parts to be a durable company in the industry. It is really hard to build software companies for manufacturing because manufacturers are not the type of software buyers that just go out and spend a ton of money buying software. So when they make an investment in a piece of software, it's a really big decision. And then they stick with it for a long time. So the opportunity to build a durable brand in manufacturing is there, but you got to make a lot of the right decisions.
Yeah.
And my grandfather always used to say, one oh shit wipes out 10 attaboys.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful with the oh shits.
And especially when it comes to quoting,
That's exactly right.
You miss something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's going to take an outside operation that we couldn't do here and we didn't recognize that. And now I got to throw a new lead time on it or whatever it is. Or like I didn't realize like we can't hit that tolerance without extra quality checks or whatever it is, like different tooling. And so now I got to factor that in, but
That's
I didn't price
absolutely
it
right.
in. And, pricing's like a haircut, you can't add it back on.
And as more people get involved in the estimating process, which inevitably you want, because you start to spread the responsibility, you start to get more people to understand the process, which is key for scaling, right? And you learn a lot estimating. You understand more about the business of the shop. And I think it starts to take away some of the black box nature of like, oh, the old man is taking home so much money on the back of my labor. And it's no.
Yeah,
when you get into estimating, you understand how is the business built and how the business runs and why certain decisions are made. So I think exposing more people to the estimating process is crucial. We just have to put guardrails up.
Yeah.
And I think your segue of, when I miss X, Y, or Z, it hurts, I think is a fantastic segue into what we just released at FABTECH.
Yeah.
So for the last decade, we have held this idea that at some point, paper drawings go away. We're like, oh yeah, we were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in 2017. And we're like, model-based definition files. Like you're never going to see PDFs sent again. And I think as we've learned how the manufacturing industry works at a much more granular scale, we got about 800 customers today. We've realized that drawings are probably not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
And so over the last 2 years, we've spent a lot of time trying to make sure that we can identify and surface the most critical elements of a drawing.
Sure.
And so,
like you just said earlier, like they know it when they see it.
Yep.
That guy with all the tribal knowledge who's been doing the quoting, they see that, they're like, oh, that's a red flag there. Or that means I got to buffer my price or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
But how are you kind of supporting that? Know it when you see it.
So what we've done is we built a system that will analyze the drawing. So we analyze the drawing and we classify everything we see on the page. These are notes. These are specs. This is GD&T. These are tolerances. Oh, by the way, this is parallelism. This is a run out. This is a countersink. This is a tap toll. So we go through and we classify everything we see on the drawing. Then what we do is we surface that to the user and we give them the ability to say, does this matter to me? Now, when a user says this matters to me, they can go in and they can write a rule around that. They can say, every time I see an asymmetric tolerance, I want you to warn me about it, and I want to put it on a different type of machine because I'm going to have to hold that, and I'm going to have to cut that in a slightly different way. Another example, every time I see X datum structure in a part that's made of Hastelloy, we're going to have to decrease our yield by 5% because we just know we're going to be scrapping more parts.
Sure.
So the design of the system is to allow our customers to build their tribal knowledge in a very user-friendly way. They can build their knowledge into the system, and it just continues to get smarter and smarter and warn the next generation of estimators so that when you load that print in and it says NAD cap on the bottom, immediately you know I'm going to have to go to a very specific outside processor for that.
It's like accelerated mentoring.
That's exactly right.
You've got this guy or girl who's been doing it for so long. They've got the tribal knowledge, and then they're, we have some people like that at our company. They're like, I got maybe 3 years left. I'm letting you know now. So thankful to those people for letting you know before it's 3 weeks. But then it's like, all right, well, what do we do for the next 3 years? It took them 30 years to build up this tribal knowledge. How do we get it out and then in to the next person who's going to grab that baton?
We see that all the time in our customers. That is one of the main reasons people will come to Paperless Parts is they will, and the folks that let you know they're retiring, they really do care about the business.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that about this industry. In software, people are like, see ya, I got another job, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
In this industry, people actually care about their colleagues.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect of it. That is one of the things that kicks off a lot of evaluations of Paperless Parts. I have this guy, he's been doing it for 30 years. He's phenomenal, but he's going to retire. How do we get more people? How do we capture what's in his brain into our system? And that's one of the big reasons we release this functionality, because at the end of the day, a 3D model only tells part of the story. The drawing is really where we find that if you miss, there's this interesting paradigm. When you miss something critical on a drawing, you will usually underprice. And when you underprice, you disproportionately win. And when you disproportionately win the quotes that you underprice, your margins compress.
We just had this conversation. We had a CRM review in our weekly meeting, and we weren't putting all the data in the right way into the CRM. And my brother, our president, said, when I see that there's only one opportunity lost with price out of 100, for example, what do you think that tells the president? Raise your price, right? You should lose a little bit more than 1 out of 100 based on price. There's always somebody who's going to make the biggest mistake and undercut. So how do you avoid being the one who makes the biggest mistake and kills their bottom line just to win on the top line?
And that's a sad thing that we see with our customers when we come into those shops. What they've been, and this is part of the adversarial relationship that I see in the U.S. supply chain.
Yeah.
But so let's play it out. I missed something critical on a print. Send the quote. The supply chain manager says, oh my gosh, Jason's shop is the best fit for this. Look how cheap they came in.
Yeah.
They're the fastest lead time. So now I get the PO. And now we really take a hard look at the drawing. And I say, oh crap, we missed this. This is going to take us an additional operation. We're going to have to go to a different outside vendor for this. We're going to have to go get certified materials, whatever it is. Well, now I'm in a really weird position as an owner. I can knowingly choose to lose money on it. So that's one option. I can just say, look, we got to eat it on this one.
We committed to this.
We committed to it.
But I don't want to do it again.
I can call the customer and say, we made a mistake. Can you help me get right on it? Now, what signal is that sending?
Yeah, did you really make a mistake? Is this all part of your scheme here to win the business? Or
like you
do
made
you not
a
have your stuff
mistake
together?
during quoting. Are you going to be able to produce the darn part the right way?
Yeah,
come
that's a really
on.
good point. Yeah.
So that's a reputational risk. So I'd almost rather lose money than take the reputational hit.
And there's people here who care a lot about their reputation, especially in this industry,
100%.
who are like, I'll just eat it,
So then there's I'm just going to eat it, but I got to find a way to try to shave out as much cost of this as possible. So then I end up doing something that's a little bit unnatural. Maybe I try to put it on like a night shift, or I try to get a little cute with how I produce the parts, and then my scrap goes up, and all of a sudden now I'm deeper in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
I find that if we can help our customers, and that's why I think this release of, we call it requirements review.
Yeah.
This release is probably one of the most single profound things that we are doing for our customers with AI, because it's not, AI is going to do your job for you, but it's AI is going to read this really complex drawing package, and we are going to surface the critical elements that you should just be aware of.
Yeah.
And then if you choose to write rules about those, we will trigger those rules and we will take whatever actions that you've told us to take on your behalf.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can, I would love to be able to say never miss with paperless parts. Like that would be such a fun thing to say. When a shop uses paperless, you are never going to miss something critical. I think the word never is unrealistic, But if we can reduce some of those misses and we can help expand our margins that our customers have, the whole industry gets more resilient and stronger. And that is good for the country.
Yeah, I love that. So we had a similar story at Hennig. We make like all the machine protection, the bellows, the telescopic weight covers, all the elements that move along with the machine and protect it from itself. And we inherited this slogan that was perfect machine protection. And when we acquired the business, my father's like, we got to change that. Nobody's perfect.
Perfect is
now
hard.
It's like, making our customers successful.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way you do that is when things aren't perfect, you're just like rapidly iterating and you're letting them know, hey, this is going to be the best thing we can give you today to make you successful, but it won't be perfect.
Yeah.
And so that's great. Like people trust that.
It ties right into our AI discussion, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting here, we're talking about AI, and what do we hear from shops? I want to go and I want to solve the hardest problem I have in the shop with this technology. And you wonder, and I think every business is approaching. So this is not me saying, silly manufacturers that don't understand technology, they're trying to go solve hard problems with AI. No, every business in the country is making the exact same mistake around going and trying to bite off the hardest problem with this new toy that they have.
We were joking about like truck and Jeep commercials, like they drive up this craggy mountain, in the commercial. It's like, if you bought a $70,000 truck, that's the last thing you're going to do.
That. And then the fine print at the bottom is like, this is a professional driver on a closed course and half of it is AI.
And we had to rebuild the truck afterwards.
Yeah, we popped all the tires, but this is a great commercial. I think there was a Rivian commercial where they actually they got sued for it because they rolled the truck down the hill because the car didn't actually work at the time.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Remember that? And so
yeah.
I think if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
So with AI, what I would really encourage people to do is solve the simple problems. I know it seems counterintuitive. I have this incredibly powerful technology. Why am I going to use this technology to automate an email that goes out to my customer, letting them know that their material has been ordered? Or why am I going to use this technology to automatically look at my ERP system and pull together, how I use certain types of fasteners?
Yeah.
All that is, people are like, well, I can just have a person do that really quick. Why would I use AI?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, the goal is to allow people to do the higher level. The best AI is in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just intelligence.
Yeah, exactly.
And so until that changes, we just have, I think AI being successful is all about what information you can give the models access to.
Yeah.
But a human has awareness of everything that's going on in the shop.
Yeah.
It's like I can hear a machine whining. I know that machine's not running. In order to try to get all of that into AI to make the high-level decisions with that technology, we're years away from that.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing October 15th through 17th?
I'm going to be in Illinois with you at MTForecast.
We will be, and Nick will be there, and it is always a fantastic event. Nick, of course, will be there with us as well. Roger Atkins from NTMA, Travis Egan from AMT, of course, lots of great speakers. One of the ones I am most always keen to hear is from the ITR economics crew. Michael will be there, and their talks are always just absolutely fascinating. They talked at the MFG meeting.
Yeah, the one in San Antonio, and that was a ton of fun. And of course, I'm a numbers guy, so I love seeing the trends and the kind of where they see everything going. And I think it does give us really great insight into, just where the industry's heading and how maybe as people in the industry, we should be responding to that.
Yeah, because the reality is economics and the economy is kind of frothy right now. There's a lot going on, and being keyed into the themes, the strategies, the trends that are happening in the next year plus are really important. And I think any business leader, especially in machining right now, because it's so dependent on all sorts of macro trends, really need to be there to hear firsthand what's going on in the business.
So how does someone register for it, Paul?
They go to amtonline.org and just click on the events tab at the top and choose MTForecast.
Well, it's going to be fun. We'll see you there.
See you there, buddy.
And what's cool is you brought up humans, and as you've been talking, I've been thinking about there's different ways that we go about thinking. 10 different people could solve the same problem in 10 different ways. And so there's like a spectrum in my mind of quote too carelessly or too aggressively or quickly and miss something key and underprice it or whatever, create some sort of mistake and some sort of future headache, versus the other side of the spectrum is like analysis paralysis where you don't ever get your
Oh,
quote
yeah.
out to your customer. You don't even get a chance because you were so particular that like 5 people who weren't that particular were in ahead of you, and you didn't even get a chance to win.
We call
So
it
you've gotta, like-
over-engineering.
You got to like
over-engineer the
work
quote.
that line, you know. You don't want to be too far on one side or too far on the other side. But what I think is awesome is your solution actually helps on both sides of that.
Yeah.
Because you can get it out quicker with like this requirements review. You're still like getting alerted. Hey, by the way,
Yep.
this, and this. Do you want to make rules around that? Because we can.
Yeah.
But we wanted to bring this to the surface so you can see it and make sure you're seeing it quicker.
Yeah.
Helps you get that quote out faster without the critical mistake.
And what we're seeing, we see hundreds of thousands of RFQs a month go to Paperless Parts platform when it's being used by a shop.
Yeah.
And across all of our customers, one of the paradigms that we're seeing is that the RFQ packages are getting huge. So why do RFQ packages get really big? That's the question we've asked ourselves.
They're probably wanting to consolidate the supply chain.
Consolidate the supply chain.
Yeah.
But when we look at these RFQs, you've got sheet metal parts, you've got machine parts, you've got tube parts, you have parts out of plastic, you have parts out of, and so we look at it and this doesn't make any sense. So we started talking to industrial buyers. You know what stood out to me? They don't know what they're buying. They don't know. They have part numbers that they're supposed to manage. And so what do? They blast the supply chain. And what do the supply chain partners do? Our customers. Well, they try to chew through it as fast as possible and respond as quick as they can and sift through these. We saw a 44,000 part number package. How do you quote that? Like, what do you do? Where do you start?
I mean, like, gosh, with no software, I mean, you're just like, all right, well, we only do this type of machining, so I got to sift through all of that,
So
put the stuff that we might do in this pile, the stuff we definitely won't do in that pile.
Yes.
And then this pile, I still got to work through and figure out how to even quote it or if I even want to quote it.
Yes.
But this is like something we might be able to do. This we definitely can't do.
And what we see is that is done either in a conference room with a bunch of people sitting around a table flipping through drawings, or it's done by printing them out, laying them out on a conference room table, and just quickly lining out the items that you don't want to touch. We call it triage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in today's current environment where McKinsey thinks there's $500 billion of work coming back to the US, that's great, fantastic.
Yeah.
But contract manufacturers and job shops, winning and estimating is quoting fast, but quoting the right work in the right order. Because even if you're really fast with your quoting, if you have 15 RFQs when you come in on a Monday morning, if you prioritize those the wrong way, it is still going to be a couple days till you get to number 15. It's just going to take that time.
Yep.
So one of the things that we built requirements review for is triage. So now what you can do is you can load hundreds of drawings into a single quote. And at the top level of the quote, we will identify which of the line items is triggering rules that might be concerning a part you don't want to quote. So you can stack rules. So you can go in and you can say, okay, if I have a datum structure that goes to K in a part that's made of Hastelloy and that also has asymmetric tolerances and true positions, I just don't want to deal with that. The yields there's going to be a misaligned expectation. This buyer is going to try to beat me up because they're using their should costing solution and they don't understand the practicality of how many parts we're going to scrap and how much waste we're going to have in materials. So I don't even want to quote that. Well, what Paperless Parts will do is we will say line items 20, 23, 27, 40, 80. Those are all parts that you've said you really don't want to quote, and we'll do it instantly. So now, right out of the gate, you can start to prioritize where you're investing your time across all 15 of those RFQs to understand what's the right fit work for my shop.
Yeah.
And what we've seen is the shops that are growing with Paperless Parts, they actually no quote a lot more. I never would have thought. I always thought the more you can quote, the more pricing you can get out there, the better off.
Yeah.
But saying no and really honing in on what your ideal part profile is for your shop. Ideal part profile. If you know what that is, when you start to go out of that, problems arise. Something goes wrong. You're doing something unnatural. Whether your team doesn't have the training or the skill set or the right tools to take it on, you don't have the right equipment. I remember one of the first shops I walked into, they were these guys are up on a man lift. They have a part fixtured under the man lift, and they are using the man lift with a drill that has been bolted to the man lift to bore a really deep hole in a part. And the man lift is going up and down, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you guys have to be kidding me. Like, this is manufacturing. It was like the weirdest introduction. I'm like, how do you, like, what is the tolerance on man lift drill? Like, it did not make any sense to me. That
there's a machine for that, probably.
I'm like, how did you take on this work? The number of times you go into shops where the doors are off their machines because they won work that is too big for the envelope of the machine. It's just like, that is dangerous.
That's so funny. Yeah,
You're
exactly.
putting your people in a bad position.
Yeah. It's like funny. I didn't think there'd be any connection to safety, but yeah.
When you go outside of the ideal parts for your business, I don't think your shop, I think there's my co-founder calls it the gravy work. Like, when you achieve a flow state, when you go to the gym and you're just like, I'm running, I feel good. I'm lifting. You hit that flow state. I think every shop owner knows when their shop is in a flow state. Yeah. And every shop owner knows when they put parts out on the shop floor that are really going to cause them heartache.
Especially shops that are like, I think your solution can help people win business, but the shops that are really busy and they get to be picky and choosy, like, how do you know you've got a jar that can hold this much? How do I put the biggest diamonds, the biggest chunks of gold in first? Right. And make sure we're getting that, and then you fill it in with everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you go the other way, you won't be able to.
That's exactly right. And I find that they're all symptoms, right? And it's a symptom of a really shop owners run the most challenging businesses.
Yeah,
because you are up against such a hard cash operating cycle with very little access to capital. So now you're in a situation where you've got to come out of pocket to buy the materials and take the risk, and your customers, they might not be paying you. It takes 20 days to produce the parts, get them back from the plater. Now you ship them. And then you got to wait, 90 days to get paid, or even worse in this interest rate environment. So one mistake, you're walking on a really fine tightrope.
Yeah, we talk about managing cash flow all the time on making chips. And
Mike talks about it nonstop.
I mean, especially when you get into like what a lot of people feel are those juicy industries, the regulated industries. Well, like, they know they have some leverage. They'll tell you 60, they'll pay you on 120.
Yeah. And what do you do at that point?
And if you made a mistake and you have a cash flow problem like that, you're double screwed.
It could be the end of the business.
Yeah,
and that
really could.
You're taking on a lot of risk there.
Yeah.
And so we try to help prevent as many avoidable mistakes as possible with driving towards, how do I triage? So you want to be able to say to your customers, send me all your part numbers. Like, that's a great opportunity. You can go deeper with the customers you have. So you can start to narrow, like, do I want 1,000 customers? Probably not.
Yeah.
I probably want 100 really good customers.
These free estimates, they're really not free.
No.
It takes time, and time is money.
And focus.
Yeah.
And so now you're at the end of a long day. You've been burning your cycles, your horsepower on the free estimates. But now you have a really important one to get out the door, and you're just cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is a really
And you might make a mistake because you're just cooked.
And then what happens?
Yeah.
You win the job, and it hurts your margins.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to take this in a different direction a little bit and talk about, like, while I was driving up here in traffic, I was like, hey, dude, I'm going to be about 5 minutes behind. I needed a requirements review attached to my GPS because I thought I gave myself enough time to get here, but this show's booming. We were talking, and, we're both in this world, and we're introducing new technologies to the metalworking nation, and that there's risk associated with that. Like, should I adopt it? Shouldn't I adopt it? Like, is this something that the natural intelligence, the human intelligence within my building, is this something they're going to be able to grasp and utilize and get ROI on? And we were talking as, like, we're on the other side of the curtain now, how we run our businesses. And you told me something that I thought was really interesting about, like, how and when people do get compensated for selling paperless parts to a customer. I don't know if you're willing to share that, but
I'm happy to.
I think it says a lot about, like, how much you've committed to your customer success. So
the most important metric for us as a company is gross revenue retention. So do we retain the customers that we go out and we spend a lot of time partnering with, learning their business, implementing paperless parts? Churn
is the devil for you, right?
Churn is the devil for us. It really is. Well, in order to align like I call them catalytic mechanisms. They are the mechanisms in your business that align behavior of your people with the desired outcome in the business. And I find that bonuses and incentive structures, you have to be really careful because you can incentivize the wrong behavior if you're not careful with it. So we said, what is the best way to align our teams with customer success? He said, well, here's the deal. If customer doesn't stay, you don't get paid for it.
Sure.
And that's it. So our whole team, we go out and I hate
because
surprises.
as the customer, let's say we were talking about my company actually using paperless parts. And I was like, I would just have to make that ROI justification.
And you have to make the mental leap like, oh God, I hope it's going to work.
Yeah.
And we don't want customers doing that.
Yeah. So your customer's trying to figure out, okay, it costs this, it could save me an X. And are you assisting in that process for like where they can figure out where the ROI is?
So a couple of core principles here. The first one is, I don't think you can make a process better that you don't understand.
Yep.
That's just like,
true.
It's foolish, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we're going to make your quoting process better. Here's paperless parts. Oh, and we don't really care what it looks like today because we just know, I think, what an arrogance to think that we, some companies we go into and their quoting process looks great. And we just say, you know what? You don't need this.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to be the like holistic solution for the entire industry. I would love for that to be the case, but some people, they just don't need it. Whether the type of work they do, it does not make sense to generate a good ROI for them and for us.
Yep.
So what we have as a part of our sales cycle is first we go in and we do discovery. So we want to understand your business. We want to know what the process looks like. And we have very key questions that we ask that will indicate right away, are we going to be able to help you? And we'll tell you right out of the gate. And some people are like, no, like we want your software. And we'll just say, well, look, every time we've seen X, Y, or Z, it's just not really a great fit. And so if you really want to move forward, we will move forward with you. But just know today that we already are seeing red flags.
It's almost the requirements review before you've even sold it.
That's exactly right. So we're trying to identify our ideal customer profile.
Yeah, yeah.
So then what we do is we'll go through and we'll demo the product using our part files.
Sure.
Designs that our team has made. Just to say, hey, we want to make sure you see something here that correlates with all the problems you just told us you have in your estimating process. And my favorite,
these are just example random parts.
Assemblies, parts, drawings, just we don't want customers or prospects to feel like they have to compromise their customers' intellectual property to see our software.
To test drive it, yeah.
But then we'll go a layer deeper. So if you see something you like with our product and you say, I really like this, but I want to make sure that I understand where this is going to work and where it's not going to work for my business. So what we'll do is we'll get a set of sample parts that you are very familiar with, and we will put them into paperless parts. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is they immediately are like, oh yeah, I want to see what your price is. And the reality is we're not telling you how to price parts. That is not what we do as a company. What we are doing is we are analyzing all of those parts and we are surfacing the most critical elements of all of those parts. With those variables, we then work with you to price the parts the way that is beneficial for your shop.
Yeah.
Across 800 customers, no two shops will come up with the same price. I can almost guarantee it.
Right.
Everyone thinks about rates differently. Everyone thinks about yield differently. People think about machine attendance differently.
Sure.
And you know what?
Some people can be picky and choosy because they're so busy. Other people are desperate for work, so they have to be more aggressive with the pricing.
So that's why we built Paperless in a very flexible way. But as we go through this demo, we're going to show you what we can do and what we can't do. And that's, at the end of the day, it's all on the table because we need you to stay as a customer for life. That's what we want. We want you to be we want to be a partner to you and we want to see your business scale with paperless parts. It's gratifying to have our customers walking by our booth at FABTECH, giving us high fives. One guy came by and he's like, we never would have doubled in the last 3 years if we hadn't bought paperless parts and we had not figured out a way to solve the bottleneck. And that just,
there's your emotional ROI as the founder, right?
Well, you know this as guys building businesses. There's always this insecurity around it. Are we really doing what we say we're going to do? Like, obviously, we have to market it hard. I think we got a lot of that validation at the show.
Yeah,
but then
there's an emotional cost as the founder in really believing you're solving a problem and really trying to make a great product.
You know where all the warts are too, right?
And exactly, like wondering like, well, what about this? Or what about this time it didn't work out for this customer? even like doing a podcast, like we'll have people come up every once in a while and be like, man, we've implemented so many things that we've heard.
So
and
cool
like,
to hear that.
I listened to this with my leadership team, and like that's the emotional ROI for all of like what we've poured into this.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
important.
amazing. Yeah.
It's important. That's why we bring so many people from our team to FABTECH. I think we have 20-something people here.
Yeah.
It is the best place to learn in a week, and we want our team to be close to what's going on with manufacturing technology. So going through the sales cycle, we come to an end where our team is required to present internally both, here's what the process map looks like. So here's what we think we're going to go make better.
Yep.
Here's how we think we're going to make that better. That's the roadmap to get from point A to point B.
And this is the customer's process that you intimately understand at that point.
We interviewed them. We interview the folks on their team. We sit down. We map it out. We'll watch them go through the quoting process with different parts, different RFQs they're getting. And then we build an ROI. Now, during the ROI, that could be a variety of different things. Customers can come to us and they could say, well, we get 20 RFQs a week and we only respond to 15. We want to be able to respond to the other 5. Okay, well, great. Now, when we're implementing paperless parts, and then when you go to a customer success manager, I have a way to manage my customer success manager. I can pull up your ROI document. I can say, they said they wanted to quote 20 a week. They're quoting 14. What's going on?
Yeah.
It's not working.
There's a 6 gap.
Go solve the problem. So it allows us to be very proactive in our support of our customers because we're aligned with your success.
So does every customer get a success manager who's working on their account?
Their customer success manager.
And I imagine there's like a pretty significant cost to you to being able to provide that. I was just thinking about that with the software that we sell. Like, as we scale, how do we make sure that we care about that 100th customer as much as we cared about the first one, and that we're invested in those shared ROI targets, and we're coaching them to success? Because you have to scale that part of your business as well.
Knowing what success, I think that's the thing that makes customer success hard, is not having a really clear definition of success. And we didn't always have that. So we just said, make sure the customers are using the product. Well, it's like you're trying to find the needle in the haystack for what you need to do to support them.
Yeah. Because using it that's not ROI.
Exactly.
They could be using it the wrong way.
They could be just angry like the whole time they use it. Oh, yeah. They could be wasting a lot of time.
The more they use it, the more they're not happy. Yeah.
So we brought in a sales leader who really changed our sales process to being a more value-based selling approach.
Cool.
And he said, look, we've got to build ROIs for all these customers. We've got to use that ROI all the way through the life of the customer. Well, that didn't just make sales better. It made customer success easier.
Yeah.
So now you can do a lot more with a customer success manager because they're not trying to figure out what your success looks like.
Yeah, because you already said, like, hey, Mrs. Customer, we agreed that this is when you would feel ROI.
Yeah.
Like, this is your success metrics.
Yep.
So as long as we operate with those,
100%,
we're going to continue to agree.
That's exactly right. And if we need to reset on those, it's a great framework to sit down and say, okay, you've been using paperless parts for 3 years. You're happy. You seem like you're doing really well with the software. And our favorite question to ask people is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst process in our business, 10 being we love it, we'd never change a thing, how do you rate your quoting process? Be honest about it. And so we ask people when they don't have paperless, because if someone comes into a sales cycle and they're like, quoting is a 9, we love it. Well, there's not a lot of value we can add to your 9.
There's different ways, as you're saying that, I think there's different ways to rate your quoting process too. Like, how accurate is it?
Yeah.
How meticulous is it? Maybe it's a 9. How quick is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not.
And really,
maybe it's something a lot less.
Do you enjoy it? Like, is this a good product?
Yeah.
Is this something?
Is it one of your favorite things to do in the day?
Does
Almost nobody says yes to that.
I think, I really think understanding, though, the process before you go to try to change it is so critical.
Yeah.
We used to not go far enough into the shop. So we would stop with the estimators and we wouldn't talk to procurement. We would not talk to the folks processing the POs. And so the estimators would be like, oh my God, we love this. And then you'd have someone in procurement who's like, I don't understand why we have this new software. And I don't know why I have to go into this to get my requirements. And we said, okay, hold on. We're just not going far enough with the process map. We're not getting everybody on the bus. Because selling software into manufacturing, you're not selling a tool, you're selling change management.
Yeah, exactly.
And change management, it's a very human game.
Mm-hmm.
Humans do things. One, I don't like change. I don't enjoy. I don't like
Yeah,
it. I don't.
yeah.
Enjoy, I like my routine. I like.
Sure.
They're very structured. Maybe it's a military thing. I don't know, but I like it. I
Yeah.
like my routine. No change. Well, I think everybody's very similar to that, especially when you've been doing a routine for 30 years.
Yeah. Or like anytime you deviated from the routine, it was a catastrophic problem from your company, and someone's going to come and try to have software do this. They didn't go through 2013 like I did, or whatever it was.
How are they going to know when the material is spiking?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they don't know that this one machine, when you kick it, it runs a certain way.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Just like, yeah.
What's the old adage? The machine breaks down and the repair guy comes out and just hits it and it starts working again.
He's like $10,000 bill.
Yeah. And the guy's like $10,000. Like, well, I want you to itemize that bill. And he's like, okay, it's $100 for my time coming out here, and then it's $9,900 for knowing where to hit the machine.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But I think it's true, right?
Yeah,
You got to know the business really well, and that's also why.
So you guys take the time to do that. You invest in doing that.
We do.
You don't
a
just
lot.
sell you don't hot potato this AI-driven software to the customer and be like, figure it out, YouTube.
It was really hard getting our board, our investors behind this idea that we need to overinvest in services and support, because that's just not a paradigm that a lot of investors understand.
Yeah. I mean, I did a whole episode once on if I were in machine tool sales, I kind of am on the peripheral side. For every one sales guy I hire, I would hire 3 service guys.
100%. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's where
that's what sells the second, third, and fourth machine. And in your case, it's all about retention and customer lifetime value, and churn is the devil. So it's more about keeping customers happy.
And every single time a customer says to another shop owner, and people think shop owners don't talk and they don't collaborate.
Making Tips will tell you they all talk.
They all talk. And so if we do right by our customers, I think this is the type of industry where you can do really well by doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so
that's awesome.
You're never going to be perfect. We're always going to screw things up. Problems happen. Industry's complicated. But if we do the right thing more often than not, I think it'll end up being a really good outcome.
That's awesome, man. Well, as I'm looking, we are right at about 45 minutes. And
awesome.
I just want to say, dude, personally, I look up to you. I look up to what you've done.
I really appreciate it. Likewise.
A company that's doing the right thing. Your solution is one of the most talked about problems. It's a solution to one of the most talked about problems. I remember, I think I said this almost every time you're on. I remember vividly, you get scenes in your life, little memories. And I just remember my dad, head in hands, just I gotta get, I didn't know what work was when I was a kid. And I'd be like, Dad, what's wrong? He's like, I got all these quotes to do. I just remember him being like, I got to quote all this stuff. And now I get it at a different level. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to price it wrong. I got to get this done quicker, else I won't win the order.
It's a lot
There's
of pressure.
All of the stuff and it's not a free estimate. There's an emotional cost. There's a time cost. And so I think what you guys have done is amazing.
Thank you.
You're doing the right thing. But what's the next thing for you guys? What are you, you're probably like, hey, give me some time. I just released this new iteration.
We're going really hard. So we have a user conference. And again, bringing people back together as a team, drive the industry forward. We had 200 shops, a little over 200 shops in Boston in May this year. Next year, I'm pushing the team for 400. 400 shops together, all Paperless Parts customers, maybe a few prospects. And that's where we go through. And because we're investing so much in software, we're releasing functionality all the time. So we've got to bring our customers with us, show them how to take advantage of the new functionality. So as we continue to push here, we're pushing further into understanding what did the shop do before Paperless Parts, right? So really understanding where they were.
That current state, yeah.
So many of our customers have said, I just want an AI for my business. Well, now we can analyze drawings well. We can analyze POs. We can analyze CAD models. And we can pull data from an ERP system. Come next May, I think we're going to be able to put a lens into our customers' businesses to show them not just here's that asymmetric tolerance, but now take it one step further and say, the last time you saw a tolerance like this, here's how you guys performed on it. And not just one-to-one, but the last time you saw a part that had all of these attributes, really triangulate that down. So instead of it being tribal knowledge where someone's like, back in 2005, we did something that looked like this. Let me go search the share drive. We can present that in an instant, rapid way for our customers. We call it historical intelligence. And that's the direction that we're pushing in for Power, our big launch at Power, May 6th and 7th. We also have a lot. We're continuing to move back down the process map. So we're focused on getting RFQs into Paperless Parts. We focus on how do we triage and quote the right work in the right order. Now, well, what do you have to do? You have to interact with outside vendors. So we're going to go make that really easy and really automated and I'm all about picking the low-hanging fruit. Easy things that humans have to do, reduce the number of clicks so that they can focus on doing the things that only your human brain can actually execute.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep moving our way through the quoting process, and we're going to smooth that all out and try to make it as frictionless as possible.
Man, it's exciting to hear. Paul, tell me about your trip to Italy.
I went there with the NTMA and we got to tour SMW Autoblok, 2 different facilities. Absolutely blew me away. World-class, enormous places. I can't even count how many machines there were, but so much automation. One of the most incredible takeaways for me was the breadth of what they made. I did not know they made so many work holding products and automation products. And I loved watching a big chuck machine a little chuck. So they were machining chucks in huge lathes. I thought that was super fun.
Yeah, you introduced them to me after you came back, and they've been to my shop. And the ideas they have to like breathe new life into some of my machines and the tools and the jobs that we're running was just shocking.
And then one of the coolest things is we're bringing this new automated pallet delivery system, the Hennig workflow, to market. And guess what the interface is? It's SMW 0-point locators. It's really sweet.
We're getting ready to get some of those.
So how do people find SMW Autoblok to look through that massive catalog of products?
It's SMW Autoblok, BLOK.com.
Yeah, get rid of that C. SMW Autoblok, BLOK.com. Yeah, I'm ready to hit off on the record button and talk about like how maybe we can partner up.
I would love it.
Because we're doing some cool stuff with tooling optimization and machine monitoring and condition monitoring. And yeah, I'm seeing some sort of like connection points that I wasn't seeing before this conversation. So it's really exciting. But
well, I'm honored to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. I admire what you guys have built so much. And I'm excited to see where the industry goes.
Yeah, I'm excited to be able to tackle some more big bombs with Paperless Parts, because if you can't tackle big bombs, you can't make chips.
You're not going to grow. Yeah.
And if you're not making chips, you're not making money.
Making money.
Bam.